All right, discussion forum week 3. And as I read the chapters and watched the video, it was interesting to me how the brain research and the personality type information really start to interrelate at this point, and that's kind of interesting how all that works together. First of all is implicit and explicit learning. I found that interesting. And of course, implicit learning is instinct learning, and it's almost like the brain is an open circuit that we're always learning, and that's important to survival, and that we can learn in the absence of being aware of that. I think Nardi would use the word flow at that point also, and this is great being a teacher when those days that everyone is into it and exciting, and the time goes by very fast, and the kids walk out and they're excited about it. And I know at a level they know that they're learning something because they're in school, but that where is that line where, if it's implicit or explicit? Just because, do you have to be aware of it to learn something? Absolutely not. And I think as a teacher, what's important to keep in mind is what the author would call mentalizing. And when you estimate the state, they talked about the state of the student, the knowledge of the student, and that a teacher or an educator is always making assumptions about what the students know and what we need to do to advance that knowledge or understanding. And when they talk about states, I think that's important too, because if you have a student walk into your classroom, they've had a bad day, they're already upset, I can guarantee you, no matter what you do, if you start and just assume, well, they'll get over it. Typically, it doesn't work that way. And so you have to get them in the right state to learn, and I think that's important to teachers. And some, of course, you may not be able to get to all of them, but that's our hope. I did like the statement, teachers and learners have reciprocal roles and mutually keep each other or help each other, and that the ability to learn is more ancient than the ability to teach, because I'm sure early man had to learn how to survive even before there was public education or formal education. And then, of course, Howard Gardner's article about multiple intelligences. I was introduced to Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences probably 12 or 13 years ago, when I was working on my master's in education. And I've used his theories in my classroom ever since. And what his approach gives me is the chance to tell a 13-year-old kid, typically boys, who really struggle in school, that they're smart, and I'm going to show them how they're smart. And this gives valuable information to those kids, validates them, because then they realize, I really am smart. And it's not always reflected in school and in grades. And I think it's so important for them to realize that. Now, students who are successful gives them insight as to why it's working for them. And that's important as well. And then I'm not a true Howard Gardner classroom, but throughout the year, then I tell them that I'm going to work with how they're smart and their intelligences, and try to afford them as many opportunities for alternative assessments as I can, because I think that's important, because they are smart in their own way. And Gardner also talks about how he came up with his intelligences and put some thought into that, and I think that's important, because then it's really a theory that has some concrete science behind it. And in the world of science, I think that's important that you have that, and that he concentrated on the capacities of human beings to process and create contents in the world, and to look directly at the skills and capacities we value as a society. And that's what went into him deciding which intelligences that he would include. And the next thing that I thought kind of stuck with me is that technology has left us free and open to become either really smart or really stupid. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now. Technology has given us free time, and how are we using that? Finally, Robert Sternberg talked about wisdom. And he said that wisdom requires knowledge, analytical thinking, and wise and practical solutions. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I also think that maybe wisdom comes with experience and age. Not always, but that you have to have life experience as well before knowledge also is tempered in with wisdom. So my question is what intelligence do you think will be most important in the future? Or is there an intelligence that you think will be added in the future? Okay, thanks.